Alright, what's going on, guys? It's Marmaloo. I'm going to be going over last week and this next week. Big match tonight, which is Ascent versus Froyo, the rematch. Last time Ascent won, but I'll get into that in a bit. But I'm going to go over the matches that happened last week and the few days behind us. So, first one I want to go over is Froyo versus Ford. And Froyo, the first half was looking actually pretty close with a 3-2, Sai doing his thing. Both scouts kind of underperforming, but they pulled their weight. But once again, second half Froyo came out, closed it out 2-0 in the end. So 5-2. Prediction was right. This week had a lot of great predictions, you know? Kind of proud of it. Got to go over it. So Ascent versus Edhead, once again. This was another match where a team didn't get a single mid cap or a cap period, so they just got mid to last. Last time it was Space Pirates versus Not Interested. We're Not Interested didn't let Space Pirates get a single cap, but this time Edhead didn't get one, and it was a 5-0 for Ascent. Another one? No, there isn't. Okay. So, next one, Froyo versus Space Pirates, with this match being on Gully. I mainly thought Space Pirates couldn't really deal with Yomps, Blaze, and Habib on mid especially. And I thought that it ended up being 5-1, and it was, with Yomps doing his thing, 22-4 with about 350 DPM, give or take. And Habib 13-8 with about 360 DPM. So yeah, Froyo did their job. Closed out on Goalie, one of their better maps. Here you go. So next one, Cafe Ascent on Sunshine. So with Cafe looking stronger than they did previously in the last matchup, they got 5-0'd by Ascent, but they've been looking way better. Everybody coming back. And this match being on Sunshine, it's a lot harder to get steamrolled than a map like Goalie, where you just lose a mid and you can be out of the game just like that. Where Sunshine's way more open, it's harder to get just bullied on mids and just get overwhelmed. And to roll Sunshine, you really have to just be the better team by far. Got to be able to close out the mids really well, and they're so big and wide open. There's so much opportunity to get a salvage kill on the med, the demo, and a lot of times the mids don't just happen instantly. It's a lot of slow play where you wrap, you find the overextended man, and then you slowly get the picks. So, with this match being a good preview for the Froyo versus Ascent, that's going to happen soon enough. Ascent do close it out 5-3, with Cafe hanging in there the whole game, but at the end they lost it. And both halves barely gone in favor of Ascent, with I think 3-2 and then a 2-1 for Ascent both times. And a big reason Ascent won this game is bot mode had 11 deaths and Skis had 10 deaths, in comparison to Delpa with 20 and Zilly with 16. In bot mode, top damaged with that little deaths, and Slemnish casually dropping at 39 and 21. I could pull it up, but it's too late. And I got that one right too. If you want to look at all, I can link the match pages in the description. So, I'm too far over. So the next match is Ford versus Scuffed Froyo. So this is one I got wrong, but I'm pretty sure most people would get this wrong, with Scuffed Froyo losing one of their best players in Phone, and they ended up picking up Polly, who got cut from King's Crew before the season started for cheating in a pug. Already gone over this before earlier in the season, but yeah, it was a really close game with the big three of Ford showing up of Yosh, Sandblast, and Sai doing their thing. But the other big three on Scuffed Froyo, I guess, or Dunk if you didn't know they changed name, is Pauly, Shiny, and Mac. All did work, did their jobs. Pauly having great lives on Sniper, breaking some stalemates, getting some headshots. And a big reason, sadly, for this match being close is Trip did go 9 and 27. But in the end, Ford did get the win, 4-3, very close. A good game overall, if you want to watch a VOD of that, or any of that. It's probably a good one to start with. So, I don't know where this Edhead Not Interested one, but Not Interested versus Edhead did happen the other day. And it was a 5-2 for Not Interested. It was a pretty big roll, but there was a couple rounds that were won by an Uber getting behind on Edhead, where they capped last and had an full Uber ad behind them, or decent. And Rocket Wizard or KTB getting 2 or 3 med picks in a row in one round. They won that one, but Not Interested to close it out 5-2. And the other match that did happen later in the week was Scuffed Froyo versus Space Pirates. Another really close game for Scuffed Froyo and a close call for Space Pirates. So, this match really just screamed vintage Velocity Shamu, with a classic performance on Snakewater. He's had this before, dropped to 45 and 22. Everybody on his team, if you add it all up, They were around even KD. No one really popped off besides Shamu. And Shiny was trying to compete with a 36-20. The rest of his team trying to participate, especially Frogmet or Daffodil had a couple big plays. He almost went even on Roamer in this long game, and overall they couldn't pull it out in the end with the time running out when they were on the other team's last and didn't get the round. So ended up 4-3 for Space Pirates. Unfortunate once again for Scuffed Froyo, but first season for a lot of these players, and they're having some good showings. All right, so that's it for what's happening. Let me not casting that one. We'll be casting this one as well. So leading into this, Ascent versus Froyo, the big matchup everybody's been anticipating once again. With the last time they played, it was a 4-3 on Granary with Ascent winning. With a few seconds left on the clock, Yite stopped the point just barely, and they did win the game. A couple more seconds, the game would have gone to Golden Cap. I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly, and it could have gone any way. So a lot of people are probably favoring Ascent. I'm not sure. Maybe Froyo Ascent. I still favor Froyo with that win being so close and not very dominant. And it could have gone either way, especially on a wild card map like Granary. And both these teams have played a couple matches on Sunshine after their match they played, with Ascent beating Ford 5-2 and Ascent also beating Cafe 5-3, along with Ford losing to Froyotech also 5-2. So having the same results, I guess you could say they're on an even level on this map. I still think that Froyo is going to be a bit better on this map. And yeah, I'm going to go into the class matchup. So Slemnish versus Banny. At this point, I think this matchup's in the air. Either could be the best Pocketsy out in NA. With Slemnish having great performances almost every match. I don't think he's had a poor performance in a match so far this season, that I can recall at least. And he's the big driving force behind this team's success. And I think that, yeah, this should settle who is better. And both scouts are definitely doing a phenomenal job of what their team requires of them, and really being some of the best players on their team, with Slemish being the best and Banny being one of the top 2 or 3 on his team. So next one is Yite versus Eric. This is another one that's slightly up in the air. With last time they played, Yite outperformed Eric, doing a good job. And overall, I don't think he'll do it again in this match. And at least how they played on Granary, I think Blaze and Eric will have an easier time and a better time on a map like this where it's more open. They have more room to work with, get behind, do all the things that they can. I think this matchup will have a slight advantage to Eric with Yite. He could be able to do it on a match like this, be able to shoot soldiers down, take some 1v1s, take some 2v1s, have some fights with Laz, get behind, get some kills from behind, but I still give the slight edge to Eric with all the experience and all the time he spent being a great flank scout. So next one, Blaze versus Laz. I think this map really fits Laz's playstyle way more than a map like Granary, where he likes to high bomb, get behind, jump on meds during dry fights anytime, and this is one of the maps for it. If not the map for it, besides maybe Propaganda, but we'll leave that aside. But I'm going to give the slight edge, or a decent edge, to Laz on this map. Looks really good in the past. I think he's had his best performances on a map like Sunshine. And yeah. The next one is Yomps versus Jay. So I'm going to favor Yomps in just a pure pocket matchup. But ignoring the stats from the previous matches, especially for Jay, he had a poor matchup versus Cafe. I think this map at least, is a really good... It looks good for how Jay plays pocket, where he jumps around a lot, gets bows, keeps jumping around, causing chaos, and maybe goes for some hero plays a couple times. But the stats from the last match they played, he went 19-33 with bottom damage. They did win 5-3 in the end, but wasn't looking good. So I'm going to give the edge to Yomps still. I think Jay's really good, but I don't think he's as good as Yomps at this point in time. But this is an opportunity to show if he can show up in this match, stats-wise, impact-wise, any of those, if he can stand up to Yomps or do better. Next one, this is the big point that I think is going to determine this match. Bot mode versus Habib. In the last matchup, it was a huge shocker, with bot mode actually doing better than Habib, going 40-30, and he had about 1.7k more damage than Habib. And overall, he came up with big plays after big plays, getting med picks, 3Ks, 4Ks, all of the above, just doing a great job, especially in his first matchup versus Froyo on demo. Maybe not the first, but the first of this season. And I think Marmaloo definitely is a legit demo man, but I'm not sure if he's better than Habib, especially on a map like Sunshine where it's more space to work with. A lot harder to punish Habib with the huge skyboxes Banny's able to cover for him, and the mid being way more wide open, and Habib being able to do his own thing, shoot the scouts, just be able to commit, do all the damage he usually does. So lastly, the medics. Without a doubt, Nursey does have the better mechanics than Skis, but with how the teams play, Skis risks his life a lot more than Nursey does. She opts to value her life a lot more, leaves fights sometimes early, but definitely keeps the Uberat and lets you take another refight. It's definitely just different map play styles. Both are right if your team plays around it, where Nursey a lot of times lives when the other med dies and gets that Uberat in order to take another refight on the other team's last, especially. And while Skis a lot of times favors to scrap it out a lot more than Nursey does, but sometimes ends up leaving with bot mode or Slemnish early and fighting the next point. So I'm going to favor Nursey in this matchup just purely because her mechanics are better than Skis'. So, in my mind, Froyo are still the favorites in this matchup, with it taking everybody on Ascent playing well, better than their counterparts besides Jay and Yomps, at least individually, with Yomps playing a little bit better, but it was pretty even between those two. And it came down to seconds in that wildcard map of Granary. You never know what's happening on that one. Not as much as a wildcard, but just a map people usually don't play as much and not are as familiar on. And with Sunshine being the map, I have a bit more faith in how the combo plays on Froyo and Banny calls overall. How they play going through a lot of the doors, making sure no flank is uncovered, and just pressuring everywhere until the other team makes a mistake, or you hold out and get some frags, and then they end up leaving. So, but for Ascent to win this match, where I thought Froyo was the favorite, I think that they definitely need to have bot mode playing at or above the level of Habib, and definitely competing in that department, doing his job, maybe having a Granary-esque performance, which I think is going to be a lot harder, with people able to get on him a lot easier with the open skyboxes, the more open flanks, and people can get from everywhere. Eric and Blaze can do their work on the flank, get Eric behind, get some back caps, all of that. But yeah, I think that Yite and Laz definitely have to stand their ground against Eric and Blaze, make sure they deny the flank. And overall, the only person that's had consistent performances match after match has been Slemnish. I don't think he's had a bad match so far, like I said earlier. And Ascent cannot allow the Froyo flank to cause havoc, get behind on the med, get some back caps. They really need to keep an eye and keep a watch on the flank of Froyo. And one of the last things is I think Jay and Laz need to do their thing, get some space, get some damage, but mainly live and make sure that Froyo scouts can't destroy them in the sky. Do all their scout things. They need to keep going around, causing chaos, getting behind, all of that, in order for them to succeed, at least with some return frags happening in trade. But overall, I think Froyo is going to win 5-3 with potential for it to go any which way. No clue. Could go 5-0 for one team, 5-0 for the other. Not likely, but Ascent could win. Froyo could win by more, Froyo could win by less. Any of it could happen. So, next one is Cafe Monster versus Not Interested. It's going to be a bit short. Don't have as much time today for this. And I want to get this out as soon as possible. So, Cafe Monster and Not Interested both have been looking better than the beginning of the season. And if there wasn't Froyo and Ascent happening, this would definitely be the marquee match of the night. But it's a shame these two matches are happening on the same day. And I think that both these teams should probably have a decent match. But I think Cafe will win 5-3 with the match being on Metalworks. And Not Interested actually looking pretty good against Ascent, at least in the first half. But I think Cafe should be able to shut it out with Delpo. Delpo doing his thing. Delpo's also just an absolute monster, and especially, I don't think he's also had a bad game. At least, not a terrible game. And I think it could be a more dominant win for Cafe, or maybe a win for Not Interested. And last one that I'm going to be casting tomorrow, it's going to be Space Pirates vs. Ford. This matchup has no effect on playoffs, maybe a bit on the seeding for Ford, where they cannot lose this if they want to get third seed. But Space Pirates needs to have their demo and soldiers outperform their counterparts besides maybe Sai, where Sai always usually gets his man, does his thing. I think that at least Rakuso and Chunky need to outperform Trip and Jarrett, especially in a map like Gully Wash where they can shut out the mids if they They have some good coordination. Find the right picks. Make sure their med doesn't get bombed. No drop down plays work. If drop down plays work, usually your team's going to lose a lot of time. And overall, I think that Shamu needs to be able to stand up with Sandblast, which he 100% can. They just needs to give him some space. And lastly, Space Pirates cannot give Yosh 1v1s. Let him get behind. Especially don't let the flank be a huge part in this match. Make sure it's a combo v combo. And try and make sure you get a lot of damage on Sai and Sandblast so they can't really push forward. So overall, I think this match is still going to go 4-2 for Ford. That's going to be it. I'm going to be casting these matches, at least Froyo Ascent tonight on my Twitch, 11 p.m. EST. See you then.